My name's Ethan, and I'm 20 years old. What I'm about to share isn't just about stolen money. It's about stolen years, stolen trust, and the moment I decided to burn the image my father spent a lifetime polishing. From as far back as I can remember, my dad, Leonard, was obsessed with appearances. We lived in a polished suburban neighborhood where lawns were manicured, and neighbors competed in silent, passive-aggressive financial Olympics. Leonard was their reigning champion. New cars every 3 years, watches he claimed were client gifts, and neighborhood BBQs with overpriced grills he bought, on a whim. But behind the scenes, we were always barely scraping by. My mom, Sandra, paid most of the bills. Meanwhile, Leonard blew money he didn't have on status symbols. When I was 10, I overheard them fighting about an overdue electric bill the night before one of his big BBQs. But the next day, he was smiling, grilling burgers, and bragging about his new toy. That was Leonard, a master manipulator. He'd throw guilt trips like confetti. If I asked for school supplies or needed a checkup, it was always, "Do you know how hard I work for you?" Even though Sandra was footing the bills. When I was 13, I made the baseball team and asked him for cleats. He acted like I'd asked for a Porsche. "We'll have to tighten our belts," he said dramatically. That weekend, he bought himself new golf clubs, 10 times the price of my cleats. But those were investments, you see. Then came the divorce. Sandra finally had enough when I was 12. It was a disaster. Leonard fought everything, not because he cared, but because he couldn't stand being left. He tried to get custody of me just to spite her, and to collect more child support. When the judge gave Sandra primary custody, he fake cried in court and then took me out for fast food while ignoring me the whole time. That was the last time he even pretended to want me around. Enter Sabrina, the new woman in Leonard's life. Younger, polished, calculated. She met him at a corporate event and latched on fast. I could tell from day one she was playing the long game. Always smiling, laughing at his jokes, stroking his ego. She had a daughter, too. Let's call her Chloe. Chloe was my age, but she was nothing like me. She was the social media cheerleader type, always knowing how to twist adults around her finger. Within weeks, she was calling Leonard, Daddy, and he was clearing his schedule to help her with homework he never helped me with. I'd be in the next room struggling with a school project, and I'd get told to figure it out. By the time Leonard married Sabrina, the power dynamic was sealed. Chloe was the golden child. I was the afterthought. That Christmas, she got a MacBook and designer shoes. I got something from the clearance aisle. Sabrina would fake concern anytime I questioned it. "She's still adjusting," or, "Your father just wants her to feel welcome." Chloe would smirk behind their backs. One time I overheard her laughing with her friends. "I just do the sad eyes and call him Daddy." Bam, new phone. She looked at me and winked. I eventually stopped going to Leonard's unless I had to. I stayed mostly with Sandra. Leonard never cared. Half the time he was off on some vacation with Sabrina and Chloe anyway. At 16, I got a job bussing tables. Not glamorous, but it was mine. Leonard surprised me one day by showing up and offering to open a savings account for me. "You're being responsible," he said. Maybe the only honest compliment I ever got from him. Since I was a minor, he had to be on the account too. I didn't think anything of it. Over the next 4 years, I saved like crazy. Holidays, weekends, double shifts. I barely spent anything. I was dreaming of college, freedom from Leonard, and finally a place where I mattered. By 20, I had saved $18,000. Then came the day that shattered everything. I went to the bank for a simple withdrawal. But the teller frowned. "There are insufficient funds." "What?" I asked her to check again. She turned the screen toward me. A withdrawal. The entire balance. All $18,000, gone. The date. About a month ago. That same month, Chloe had been posting about her trip to Cancun. Designer clothes. Spa visits. Best surprise ever from the best dad ever. I left the bank in shock. I sat on a bench outside and called Leonard. No small talk. "Why did you drain my savings?" His reply. "You don't need it right now." Chloe did. "You can always earn more later." Just like that. 4 years of my life, gone. For his stepdaughter's Instagram vacation. That was the moment I snapped. I called Sandra. She was silent for a long time, then said, "Come over. Bring everything." That night, we built a war plan. If we couldn't get him legally, we'd destroy the only thing he cared about, his reputation. We started with family. I called Grandma Edith, Leonard's mom. Sent her screenshots, bank statements, and a recording of our phone call. Her voice cracked. I always knew he was selfish. But not like this. Then I called every relative, every family friend. Enough people believed me, and the evidence, that the tide turned. Then I nuked it from orbit. I posted the full story on Facebook. No drama, just cold, hard facts. Screenshots, bank records, Chloe's Instagram posts. Then I posted it in our neighborhood group, his golf club group, tagged family, coworkers, everyone. Chloe commented, saying she didn't know where the money came from. Then deleted it and blocked me. Sabrina messaged me privately, scolding me for airing family business. So I posted that message too, captioned, "Apparently stealing $18,000 from your stepson is just family business now." Leonard called me in a rage. Not sorry, just furious I'd embarrassed him. He said, "You're ruining my life over some money." I said, "You don't need your life right now. You can always rebuild it later." Silence. Then, "You'll regret this." I smiled. "Not as much as you will." I dug deeper. With help from my cousin Matt, who worked at a credit union, I scoured public records. County filings, tax liens, court judgments. It was worse than we thought. 3 tax liens, a judgment, late mortgage payments, second mortgage, letters from collection agencies, maxed out credit cards. I created a spreadsheet comparing what they posted online, vacations, Chloe's car, designer stuff, to what I knew about his income. They'd spent over $40,000 on her in a year. No way he could afford it. I sent anonymous emails to his boss, coworkers, and the IRS. I knew an audit alone would make his life hell. Chloe found the folder I'd planted with all the documents. Showed Sabrina. She lost it. Leonard came home to screaming. Neighbors heard it. Police were called. His secret life exploded. Then he called me again. Panicked. "What did you do?" I played dumb. He ranted. I reminded him, "You stole my money." He screamed, "This isn't over." And it wasn't. Karen froze all their accounts. Found even more debt. Leonard was pulled off his clients at work. Salary slashed. Commissions gone. Then one night, everything went too far. I was closing at the restaurant. Walked to my car and saw him leaning on it. Drunk. "You happy now?" He slurred. I lost everything. I tried to walk past him. He grabbed me, shoved me against the car, punched me in the ribs. "You're going to fix this," he yelled, hitting me again. I broke away. Car alarm went off. My manager Jose ran out. I called the cops. Leonard was arrested for assault and DUI. I filed for a restraining order and pressed charges. He now had a criminal record. In court, I showed up with bruises and hospital paperwork. He showed up alone. No Karen. No Chloe. The judge didn't buy his, "just a family argument," excuse. Result: 6 months probation, anger management, community service, permanent restraining order, fines, paid my medical bills, and a shiny criminal record. Karen divorced him. Turns out he'd taken credit cards in her name. Skimmed from their savings. Borrowed against the house. His firm finally fired him. Ethics violation. Leonard ended up in a Roach motel, working at a call center. The man who once bragged about his corner office now gets yelled at by strangers about their Wi-Fi. As for me, I got financial aid, picked up more shifts, found a roommate, and bought a used car. Not the future I saved for, but finally, I was free. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. Then I remember the sound of his fist hitting my ribs. He made his choices. I just cashed the karma.